The show begins with Clearance, who is tied up in a chair. He is a member of Penguin Gang, but he is being interrogated as they believe he has been sharing secrets about their operations to their gang enemy, Rupert Thorne. When Clearance refuses to talk, they call in her boss Penguin, who kills him in the most diabolical manner. On the other hand, we see Rupert Thorne gang members smuggling some goods. They are in a rush because Rupert Thorne had already informed them that they are going to get attacked, which can't be the cops because they already bribed half of them, but a man in a bat costume. During their operation, the lights suddenly turned off. The men shoot their guns in all areas, but they couldn't see any more when Batman throws a tear gas in the place. He takes them out one by one, but to his surprise, the building of the operation explodes. Batman investigates about 3 buildings explosions that happened in 2 weeks. All those buildings belongs to Rupert Thorne, so he believes a gang boss as powerful as Rupert Thorne has declared a war on him. Firstly, Batman decides to find out who's behind the explosions, and he knows where to start looking for them. Alfred believes people inside the police department are covering up the explosions, but Batman reminds him that it's Gotham, so the corruption shouldn't surprise him. We see Barbara Gordon defending her client in court. She tells the judge that her client is not a killer, nor is he the leader of the smuggling ring, but just a desperate kid who took the wrong job from the wrong people. After that, Harvey Dent meets her but teases that she is surely going to lose the case because the kid should have reported about his bosses to the police department. To Barbara, everything about Harvey is just politics. That's why he is now capturing criminals these days so he can win the favor of the people and becoming the next mayor. When he gives her a flyer to vote for him and becoming the next mayor, she leaves angrily. Batman captures the fire inspector and threatens to throw him towards a moving train if he doesn't tell him who's behind those building explosions. When he realizes Batman isn't bluffing, he confessed that it's the Penguin behind it. Inside a cruise ship, Oswald the Cobblepot hosts a police fundraiser party and gives a fine music performance, making her to get applauded by the police. When Barbara complains about being there, her father, Commissioner Jim Gordon, tells her he isn't having fun here either, but as a commissioner, he can't skip the police fundraiser. Harvey Dent greets him and assures that once he is elected mayor, he and Gordon are going to do great things for the city, and he might not even need outside help from Giant's bats anymore. But Barbara mocks him for buying into the rumors of the streets, as she believes Batman is not real. Ronnie Cobblepot tries to shoot his shot on Barbara, but she turns him down. His junior brother, Aaron Cobblepot, mocks him for being slow. Bruce Wayne attends the fundraiser party because he believes the Cobblepots are using parties like this one to cover up their underground operations. Rupert Thorne attends the Cobblepot's party and is being greeted by Oswalda. He reveals that he knows she's the one responsible for the explosions on his buildings, and he got the tip from one of her kids. Bruce sneaks around the ship to investigate the illegal operations of the Cobblepots, but just as he sees them coming, he dives inside the ocean. Oswalda interrogates her sons on who sold her out to Rupert Thorne. The both sons claim they weren't the one, but upon noticing how Aaron was shivering, Oswalda believes he is the one who did it. Anyone that betrays her does not go unpunished, even if it's her own son, so she tells one of her men to place him inside the box and throw him inside the ocean. Ronnie immediately gives Rupert Thorne a call and asked for his help. He was actually the one who sold his mother out, and she is going to figure out soon, but Rupert Thorne denies his request to accept Ronnie into his organization, because someone who even betrayed his own mother cannot be trusted. Oswalda finds out it was Ronnie who actually did it, and she killed the wrong son. She tells her men to find Ronnie to finish him off. With no other choice, Ronnie hurries to meet Barbara Gordon at her office and tells her his mom is going to kill him, so he needs her help. He confesses that his mom, Oswalda, is not what she seems like. She runs a mob and is a very scary person. He chose to come to her because her dad is the only cop in Gotham he knows for sure that isn't corrupt. Just as Barbara drives Ronnie to see her father, Jim Gordon, some men sent to kill Ronnie chases after them with a car. They get trapped, and just as the men were about to finish them, Batman shows up with his Batmobile and hits the men. Jim Gordon tells Ronnie to be calm, that they will protect him, but Ronnie tells him that nowhere is safe from his mom. She got half of the cops on payroll. One of the cops named Flass, eavesdropping on them, informs Oswalda that her son is at the police station and is spilling all the secrets. Oswalda, hearing this, decided to blow up the whole station. Ronnie tells the Gordons that his mom bought a customized military long-range cannon, and with that weapon, she can hit any place in the city she wants. After hearing this, Jim Gordon and Barbara begins to evacuate everyone out of the police building. Batman uses a submarine to sneak inside Oswalda's ship, and just as she's about to launch the weapon, Batman stops her. He easily defeated all her men, but unfortunately, he couldn't stop her from launching the cannon. The bomb goes directly to the police station and explodes it, but no one got hurt as the Gordons already got everyone out of the building safely. Barbara tells Jim that Batman is actually real. He saved her from Oswalda's men. Next episode begins with a famous movie actor called Yvonne Francis stepping out of a car. Just as she heads towards her mansion, someone kidnaps her. Bruce Wayne is being interrogated by Detective Montoya because he was the last person to see Yvonne Francis. Just as she questions him, Lucius Fox, Bruce's lawyer, barges in and tells him not to say anything else. He tells Detective Montoya that any further questions she wants to ask should go through him. Detective Montoya tells Jim Gordon that she honestly doesn't see Bruce Wayne as a suspect. She decided to go to the movies where Yvonne Francis normally performs and meets with Basil Carlo, an actor who performs together with Yvonne Francis. He said yesterday was the first time he saw her in months. He didn't say much and leaves, saying he has an important meeting with the director. Detective Montoya went to meet another actor to ask about Yvonne Francis and realizes that everything that Basil Carlo told her was just lies. He saw Yvonne Francis last week. Detective Montoya quickly gets Carlo home's address and hurries to his house only to find him killed with a dagger on his back. Batman sees the killer at the window wearing a mask and chases after him but loses trace of him. The kidnapped Yvonne Francis wakes up to find herself in chains on the bed. She shouts for help but no one hears her. Jim Gordon tells Detective Montoya to focus her effort into finding who killed Carlo, and they can find Yvonne Francis from there. The same masked person that killed Carlo shows up to kill the movie director, but Batman stops him. The masked person escapes, but Batman realizes that the masked person has been killing people one by one in that movie theater. But why? Batman begins his investigations to find out. Batman goes to see Carlo's dead body and realizes he's not actually the one. On the other hand, Detective Montoya goes to see another crew member in the theater, Jack Ellman, to ask him some questions. He attacks and captures her. The mysterious killer shows up in front of her, and Detective Montoya finds out that Carlo isn't dead, but faked his death. He explains everything to Detective Montoya on how he was a very talented movie actor, but Yvonne Francis, an actress he has a crush on, admired his talent, but refuses to date him because of his ugly face. That was when he came across a con man and lunatic, Jack Hillman, who worked as a makeup artist for the studios. Jack had developed a miracle serum through which he could become anyone he wanted. He could change his face and body like a clay model. He went to meet Yvonne Francis with his new face, but she still rejected him, making him to kidnap her. We also find out that after Jack handed him this life-changing formula, Carlo used the serum on Jack and made Jack look like him. He killed Jack, who now looked like Carlo, so that the world would think that Carlo was dead while the real Carlo, Peclayman, could start anew with a new face and new identity. Carlo tries to kill Yvonne Francis in front of the tied-up detective, but Batman shows up and saves the day. Two police called Arnold Flass and Harvey Bullock arrived at the scene and arrested Carlo, who was already beaten down by Batman. The next episode begins with Selina Kyle, who was being woken up by her caretaker called Greta. Greta complains on how she keeps bringing in abandoned cats from the street and feeding them when they have a lot of bills to pay. She hasn't even paid Greta her salary for 3 years, but the poor woman is still hanging around out of loyalty and respect for Kyle's father. Kyle reads newspapers concerning Batman and is fascinated about the idea of wearing a mask. She decided to sew a cat costume bearing the name Catwoman. Every night she goes to different stores to steal treasures, but tonight isn't her lucky night as she is being chased by the police. Batman catches her and leads her tied for the cops to capture her. Harvey Dent suggests to the judge to give Kyle a second chance due to they lack evidence, and Batman was also at the scene. After Kyle is released just that same night, she steals some jewelry from a rich couple's house, but Batman shows up the second time to catch her. During the chase, she slips off a building, but Batman saves her, leading to her to give him a kiss. Kyle electrifies him with a gadget she made and escapes with a car similar to the Batmobile. Alfred tells Batman to leave Kyle for the cops to handle since she's only a jewelry thief and not a villain, but he couldn't for some reasons. To make sure Kyle doesn't escape punishment from the court again, he meets a photographer called O'Brien and hires him. He takes evidence of Catwoman during her next heist according to Batman instructions. Corrupt cops Flass and Bullock arrived at the scene and tried to shoot Kyle, but Batman intervened and stopped them from murdering her. He beat the cops black and blue, which the photographer takes pictures of as well and later released the photos in the newspaper, therefore making Batman a crime-fighting vigilant in the eyes of the law. Kyle in prison calls Greta to sell her dad's expensive properties to bail her out since the cops already have evidence of her crime, but Greta appears to have already sold them, but she is not using the money to bail her out, but to use it to sort the 3 years of salary Kyle refuses to pay her. Those photos of Batman beating the corrupt cops is everywhere. The mayor announces to organize a task force to take down Batman, seeing him as a criminal for attacking the police. He tells Commissioner to lead the forces and warns him not to screw up or he will lose his job. Gordon handed the responsibility to Detective Montoya, who reveals to have a plan on how to catch Batman. She fakes numerous robberies so Batman can show up and help, but he didn't really fall for that. That was when Flass and Bullock decided to go a bit overboard and released a psycho prisoner named Firebug from prison so as to set a trap for Batman. Unfortunately, their plan backfired, and Firebug ended up burning a building in the East neighborhood. Batman shows up the building to rescue the resident, and Gordon with Montoya also came there. Flass and Bullock cornered Firebug in the building and shot him dead so that the prisoner wouldn't reveal their connections in his testimony. Gordon catches Batman in the building, but he couldn't shoot at him after seeing him rescuing 2 kids. He tells Gordon there is one more kid to save, which Gordon does, and Batman goes away after taking them out of the building. Even though Gordon knows it was Flass and Bullock responsible for all these, he couldn't take action against them as Mayor Jessup orders him to put them in charge of the task force as a reward for taking out Firebug. Next episode begins with 2 cops as they drive their car and discuss their daily lives, but they are confronted by a ghost-like creature on a horse. The ghost shoots their car, leading to them to get into a very serious accident. Bruce hears about the ghost robbing places, but he wonders what a ghost could be stealing money for. Harvey Dent is angry as he sees bad reviews about him in the newspaper, which is now reducing his chances on becoming a mayor. Rupert Thorne meets him and offers him to work with him, and he will ensure he gets elected as the mayor. Harvey boards a train, and just as he promises the people there that the train tickets will be cheaper, the ghost on a horse shows up at the train. He introduced himself as the gentleman ghost and threatens everyone in the train to hand over all their jewelries and wallets to him. Harvey tries to give the ghost a huge sum of money to leave the people alone, but he clears out that he prefers stealing from the poor. Batman chases the ghost, but he disappeared before his eyes. He makes researches about the ghost and finds out 3 things. Firstly, the ghost only targets the underprivileged. Secondly, from his appearance, the ghost is obsessed with the 18th century. And lastly, he saw a coat of arms on the ghost cloth and goes to the library to make research about it. The library keeper explains to him that it's the Craddock coat of arms. The Craddocks were one of the Gotham founding families, but the name was struck from the official histories because of James Craddock's action during the Revolution. James Gentleman Jim Craddock was a wealthy aristocrat and staunch loyalist, but he was also a gambler who squandered much of his family fortune and nearly lost their estate at the Heritage Hills. Since he was born of nobility, Craddock believed wealth was his right, and he blamed democracy for his misfortune. When he got broke, he became the opposite of Robin Hood as he began to steal money from only the poor. When they finally caught him, he was hanged at the Old Town Gallows. After the library keeper finished the story, Batman decides to hurry to the Heritage Hills because James Craddock's descendant, Russell Craddock, is selling the Heritage Hill to one of his friends. He shows up to fight the ghost, but he was no match. The ghost decided to spare him because he fights like a well-bred man, but warns him never to cross his path again. Batman doesn't know how to catch a ghost, so he went to meet someone who does, called Linton Midnight, to ask for his help. Midnight handed him the book of occult magic and asked him to perform a ritual to get rid of the ghost. But first, he must get 2 things. One is the original deed of Heritage Hill, and the second is the blood of a nobleman. He explains to Batman that once he burns Heritage Hill's deed, James Craddock's claim in Gotham City would be lost forever, and his ghost would lose its power. Before Batman leaves, he also handed him a kind of tiny magical test tube to capture Craddock's ghost. After Batman had taken the original deed of Heritage Hill from the museum and begins to search for a nobleman, Alfred reveals to him that he came from the lineage of the Duke of Devonshire. He takes Alfred to the graveyard and had him pour his blood on the original deed of Heritage Hill. Just as Batman tries to burn it, the ghost shows up and attacks him. During the fight, Alfred burns the hills with his lighter, which turns the ghost into a black cloud, but it possesses Alfred's body. With full control of Alfred's body, the ghost attacks him, but Batman is able to fire a flame and burn the last remaining bit of the deed to get rid of the ghost. Just as the ghost goes out of Alfred's body, Batman quickly uses the tube to trap it. He does his part of his deal by handing the tube to Midnight. Batman asks what he intends to do with the ghost, but he replies it's best he doesn't know. Harvey Dent's campaign manager told Harvey that his polls had gone down and all prominent donors had pulled out of his campaign after the gentleman ghost refused to take money from him during the train robbery. With no other choice, Harvey decides to give Rupert Thorne a call. Gordon argues with Barbara, who helped a criminal win a case. As they step out of the department, a man tries to assassinate Gordon, but a police officer stops him. Batman tells Barbara that after he investigated some thugs, he finds out that someone from the Blackgate prison put a price on Gordon's head. Whoever kills him gets the pay. Batman goes to the Blackgate prison and discovers it was a prisoner called Muller who placed a price on Gordon's head, and due to this, skilled assassins are coming to Gotham to get the job done. Barbara and Montoya takes Gordon to a safe house, a place nobody will find him, but they get attacked by some men on the road disguised as police officers. They manage to get rid of the men, and it turns out the safe house isn't safe anymore. They decided to hide at the model home, and Gordon can't call for backup as he doesn't know who to trust. But more men shows up at the place. Batman arrives and takes out the men and their leader. He tells Gordon that he is not the target but Barbara is. One of the cops tries to kill Barbara, but Jim Gordon saves her. Barbara goes to see Mulder in prison to know why he placed a bounty on her. He explains that it's because she had failed to defend him in court, which was the reason he was put in prison. Thank you for watching, guys. If you love animation movies, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.